Some say you can't expect others to love you if you don't love yourself. For the longest time, I didn't believe in that statement. There are plenty of people who absolutely loathe themselves, yet have plenty of people who love and care for them, so surely it's not that important, is it? In my formative years, I was bullied pretty badly, and that made me see myself in a pretty negative light for a while, and I had a pretty grandiose view of myself for a while. I thought I was hot shit. But then, once I took off the mask and started being more true to myself, I realized that I wasn't as popular as I thought I was. So, beginning of high school, I was terrified. I was incredibly anxious and socially shut out, and I had really internalized a lot of the bullying that had previously happened to me. While I was certainly happier than before, I still had a lot of work to do. I seemed like I was fine. I was a pretty bubbly and energetic person, at least on the surface, but internally I was a bumbling mess. I had so many questions about my identity and my place in this world, and my OCD and anxiety most certainly didn't help with that. I could take one look at one of my classmates and how much more physically fit, socially active, and attractive that they were, and then I would take a look at myself with a bright yellow hoodie, messy, shaggy hair with a blue streak, and a whole wardrobe of video game shirts, and there's no competition. And so it wasn't exactly hard for me to have low self-esteem. I would go through this phase where I would meet somebody and I would strike up a conversation with them here and there and see if there's any interest. The second phase would be seeing that there was only like a casual interest. And then the third phase was me verbally beating myself up and telling me that they don't like me and that I should stay away from them. So I did come out of my shell more and improved in that regard by the end of high school, but I still had a lot of work to do. So high school graduation came and went. It was on to the next chapter of my life, college. You all know where. My first semester was certainly rough, my biggest problem being my roommates, but chief among those problems being me having a hard time figuring out where exactly I stand socially at Kennesaw State University. I thought I had it all figured out with the esports club, with other epic gamers such as myself. But I found that I really wasn't getting the connection from those people that I was trying to get. So I looked towards my other fellow majors in the Department of Theater and Performance Studies, and I found that there were more people like me than I thought there would be, and I made a lot of friends by the end of my first year, and I had a renewed vision, had my sails set straight for sophomore year, that I would do everything socially, at least with the TPS department. So sophomore year began, and I had the same good laughs that I was having with everybody. But then I realized that I still wasn't getting that connection from people that I wanted. It felt like I had to make a Herculean effort just to be friends with most people. And I started to get really frustrated by that, and I started to loudly exclaim that nobody liked me, because that's how I felt. And then people started coming up to me and saying that that wasn't true, and that somewhat calmed me down. So now I knew that nobody hated me, but that still doesn't exactly fix much. I mean, I did start hanging out with people more because I was in the middle of a production. But after the production ended, that all went away and I was back at square one. Then I met two girls on the bus near the end of last year, and I instantly connected with them. It took zero effort for me to be their friend, and it really put everything into perspective. It made me realize that if you have to try and be somebody's friend, then you are already trying too hard. Then, as far as self-esteem goes, I studied abroad in Ireland over the summer, and I had a good talk with some of my friends, and about self-love and how it was important, and it was something I needed to do. And one guy in particular who's been in my shoes before told me something that really resonated with me, and I'm gonna share it with you guys. He said, "You go to bed with yourself every night, and you wake up with yourself every morning." This made me realize that no matter who comes and goes in my life and who leaves and stays by my side, I'm always going to have myself, and I've got to learn to be comfortable with that person. So now, after so many years of struggling with it, I can now finally say that I love myself. And now that narcissism that I experienced in earlier years was not self-love. It was the opposite. So now, instead of me saying that anything I do is awesome or terrible, I just say that it is enough. That as a human being, I am enough.